I'm Harvey Shanklin, and I'm from Eliza Bryan Center.
Oh, I've heard of them.
You know, interestingly enough, when Bill walked in tonight, he looked around, was rather surprised, and he looked to see so many people that he's worked with so actively within the community. And I have to admit, I shared that surprise because I don't know when he has time for all of you. I swear that I'm on the phone with him at least 3 or 4 times a week, and he's giving all of his attention to Eliza Bryan Center. I have no idea when he has time to do anything else.
My name is Bill Hudson. I'm with the Geauga County Park District. Had no intention of moving to a park district. And then I heard this story about this West Woods preservation plan in Geauga County. How this park district that really didn't have the money was able to buy 900 acres of really fine forest and really clean stream watershed. I heard about this fellow named Bill Ginn, and I thought, what kind of a guy would set himself out for $4 million on a risk of a park levy passing? Well, since then I've gotten to meet Bill, and I know what kind of guy would do that.
Bill has never met a lost cause. Just doesn't exist. He personally got himself qualified to argue before the Alabama Supreme Court. Nobody in the company, none of the management thought that we had a prayer of winning this case. He's the only one who thought he did. He went down there and by God, he won. And to this day, our retired chairman, every time you mention Bill Ginn, the first thing out of his mouth is, you know, there was this case down in Alabama.
Be right there. I'll be right there. Just keep them where they are. Keep them where they are. So I ran back to the house to get another bucket of oats, and I start walking down the street, and here comes Bill with his bucket, 4 cows behind him, and a policeman with all of his lights on. And here comes Bill up Wilson Mills with these cows. That was just one time they'd gotten out. They got out several times, and Bill was always the one they would come home to. So.
Well, Burrow left the fence open.
Oh, that's right.
When I think of my father, I think of his values. Hard work, focus, discipline, compassion and caring for other people, putting other people ahead of your own personal interests, and looking for ways to make a difference in the community.
He has just tremendous scope to his life. A lot of times I think of it as Bill Ginn knows. Bill Ginn knows astronomy. Bill Ginn knows sewer contracting law. Bill Ginn knows funding for the arts. Bill Ginn knows about greasy pippin apple tree cultivation.
Every week it's something different. It's the maple syrup season, so it's about maple syruping. It's the dahlias, so it's about planting dahlias. It's when the hens are being born, so it's about them. It's when the horses need to be shoed, so it's about them. But there's always a theme around nature. There's always a theme around community service. He's just been to a board meeting for something he's involved with, and there's always a theme around friends.
He just thrives on the ability to be involved with projects and to help people and to use whatever kind of personal or professional resources that he has to do so. And I think he's always done that. And he's just been a great role model to me personally, and to my kids, and to my and to the entire Ginn family.
I have to empty out their water. Are you okay, Prince? Huh? Boy, this really needs to be cleaned.
Well, that's a good project for tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, see, I haven't had access to the Kubota. It's been at the sugar bush. Don't fall down anymore.
Wait, so what's going on? What are you doing, Grandpa?
Well, I'm trying to measure the amount by how thick this is Unfortunately, they aren't coming out the way I wanted them to. 2.
Right, oh, I already have some prints.
How much did you put in there?
Yeah, I think that's enough.
No, not for him.
Really? He needs more? Dang.
He's a big guy, you know.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's an awful lot, though. That's all right.
Give him a Christmas bonus there.
Yeah.
We bought the Williamson farm. That our neighbors in Shaker Heights proposed that we buy the farm. I think that there was a real connection with the community that didn't exist in the same way in Shaker. You know, I always remember in Shaker, you know, we lived there, it was convenient, it was close to transportation, but I think it wasn't my dad's place.
So that was kind of a project that we took on together in sort of turning that place back to its former glory and growing it and developing it. And so we did a lot of work together, a lot of, you know, things in the garden, things around the property. We got into a lot of trouble hanging from trees with, you know, with an inch of our life. But that formed a really strong bond between my father and I.
Attaboy. Now, don't get it wet because that'll run, that stuff. Here, let me see it. Now, we're on that's this end of the garden down there.
Yeah.
And yeah, why don't you put those back over there so that it won't get wet? Your grandmother wants us to plant those. Okay, now. Let's see, these are tomatoes. These are big.
Yeah, look at my good
These
hair.
are peppers.
There, I did.
Oops. Sorry, everybody.
And for America.
Look, there's my family
For America.
planting tomatoes with Grandpa. Hi, Emily.
Now, Dad, is this road the same procedure, same way? Same procedure, and they have to be right across from the previous one.
David? David?
Yeah.
How do I turn this off?
We always had big gardens. When the lot next door came up for sale, my father bought it because he wanted to have a big garden. It was part of a long history of farming that my father brought with him from his childhood.
We always had a rich worm culture in our garden. We carefully canned and preserved the things that we had. We had a compost pile before most people knew what a compost pile was.
There's so many life lessons in growing something, you know, planting a seed and the patience that it takes to wait till it comes up, and then the care and the nurture that it takes to grow up crops successfully.
It's been such an odd year.
Yeah, you had such a
Well, global warming, you know, which Jeff says is a bunch of bullshit, but he doesn't know. He's just a farmer. Oh, look at this stuff. I always plant corn. I always plant beans. I always plant lettuce and tomatoes. Peas once in a while. Peas are tricky. The whiz kid is getting it done up here.
The what?
Hi, Millie.
Yeah, we gotta fill the bird feeders up.
Well, there's some of these lackadaisical members of our party can do that.
Is this the...
That's Observatory Park.
That's what I was thinking.
See the guy out there in the middle?
Yeah, it looks just like you, Grandpa.
And it is me. And that was before we did anything out there. We just owned the land.
That's pretty.
And they call that Bill's Field of Dreams. Bill's Field of Dreams.
And how much money did you raise for that, Dad?
$2.5 million.
And you were the head of that whole campaign for the
Well,
committee.
I played a substantial part. I was the honorary chairman of Observatory Park, and I was the one that had the concept and organized what we called the Technical Advisory Committee.
He's done so much, you know, around farmland, around parks and protected areas. He chaired the capital campaign for the Nature Conservancy, raised $20 million. In many ways, the deep passion that he had for his clients that dominated his, you know, legal career, he's now transferred to civic activities, and he works as hard as ever, but now around great causes.
Mom and Dad were both together in philanthropy and nature, and in social services. You know, my mother volunteered in a lot of ways on social development projects, and once she had her degree in nutrition, did a lot of work with Native American populations in Cleveland. And, you know, it all has common themes, you know, helping people improve their lives, helping the city of Cleveland be a better place to live, were common themes really for both of them.
My dad's work with the Nature Conservancy, the West Woods Project. These are very significant cultural accomplishments. You know, things that have left a legacy and are an important aspect of our culture today.
Everything that I do is volunteer. But that's all just because you take every opportunity that comes along to do your part. And I don't do it for anything other than the joy of doing it, you know. I mean, but I'm also deeply involved in nature. And you ask about parks. Well, Arlene was great on traveling around the country and seeing all the national parks. And our kids were too. And we did that as a family. So we know what parks are all about. We know what it is to go out in the wilderness.
This is it. Look at this marvelous rock formation here.
When we bought this property, we had great blue herons coming every morning and every evening to fish in our lake. We knew that there was a rookery where these great blue herons came every spring, and then they migrated in the fall. And I saw a huge sign out there when I was driving by one day saying 525 acres for sale, or whatever it was. It was less than that. It was about 300 acres for sale. And real estate broker had exclusive rights to it. I called the park district and I said, did you see that sign? You know what that means? It means that Thompson Ramo Wooldridge, TRW, at that time one of the top 500 companies in the country, was selling its property that they used to use for recreation for their employees. And the park district director said, yes, I saw it, and I don't know what to do about it. And I said, well, why don't you meet me and we'll go and let's take a look at the property. So we did, and there were the rookeries with all these blue herons. So I said, you guys got to buy this. You can't let some developers come in, those heron will be gone. And it's the largest rookery in this part of the country. And so we went to work and we
We were not able to get anybody to give us the property, but we found a way of buying it with, you know, we did actually a bargain sale. They got part of a tax deduction. We paid some money and we got the property. And, you know, those kinds of things, you take the opportunities as they are presented or as you make them opportunities, because sometimes you create it just by the trouble you cause, you know.
My dad is a man who has returned to society and given back to other people the things that he thinks he's gained during his life. My dad is a life lover. I feel very blessed, you know. I feel like one of the shocks when I went to college was realizing that some people don't like their parents. It's shocking to me because I feel like I couldn't have chosen better parents.
I've often told people that I have a very blessed life. I had wonderful parents, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm going to continue to give of myself in service as well. And I just love my dad.
He's left a great inheritance to all of us with his life, and it's a remarkable story how he came from poverty and has achieved so much in his life, and is still, the thing that is amazing, at 90 years old, he is still at it.
These are all amazing legacies that my father has given me. I am so filled with joy to have had my father, and I know that he's made an amazing difference in my life.